What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another great video. DJ Reacts, you know what it is. We got another banger for you today. We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. As always, as a disclaimer, don't believe anything that I say. Don't believe anything that you see on these videos. Do your own research. This is for entertainment purposes only, but I will always push that. Do your own research. Do work research, because I can only give you spoonfuls at a time, but your research you can take however you want. But we've got some great stuff today, so we're gonna just jump into it.
We have the ability to leave our bodies, to travel to other worlds, and to communicate with other beings, and that's natural to the human race. It's not something special. I've seen greys, I've seen reptilians, mantids, Nordics, and they could travel right to us in our dream state or outer body state and communicate with us, and their physical self can be just in bed sleeping on their planet, just like we're sleeping in our bed on this planet.
The pyramids didn't originate here. They were brought here to channel energy directly into the middle of the earth. But it was also used for something else. All the hieroglyphs, they're like magic sigils. And when energy is channeled through there, that activates them. This is the secret. The pyramids could teleport large groups of people into the other dimensions. So they would, get out of their bodies and they would interact with interdimensional beings. This is ancient knowledge.
So I just want to toss this in there since she used this word, sigil. So, the pyramids would not work anymore, theoretically, because a sigil is very specific, and if you alter the sigil just a little bit, the magic is useless. And I mean a little bit. Like, say you were to make a circle, and you just take your finger and wipe through one side of that circle, the sigil's done. It's useless. So, but most of these sigils she's talking about are on the inside of the pyramids, and that's why they had so much protection, so much, around them that could never make them fail. These were not things that were on the outside of the pyramids. I've been there, I've seen them myself. I've been to other archaeological digs where I've seen this, but they definitely weren't protected like the Great Pyramids are. So just keep that in mind when people are talking about these things. You can even throw rune stones in there too, because those are hieroglyphics. So if you don't know what a rune stone is, think about the I don't know how to say this on YouTube. Think about the bad Germans from World War II, and think about those 2 lightning strikes that they had on their patches for a specific, they called them the SS, but the SS was just a brand. But that was not an S. It was never an S, nor was it a lightning bolt. It was a rune stone, R-U-N-E. And so that's a sigil. And they put 2 of them there for a reason. So, but if those had ever changed, the magic would stop working. I just wanted to throw that in there. Sorry.
We have the ability to light up our DNA. This is why the Egyptians were sun worshippers. They were charging themselves, and this would allow them to be multidimensional. They moved between the worlds. The more charge you have within yourself, the more you're multidimensional. We're energetic beings. Once we learn to manage that, we can go in and out of our bodies.
Teleportation is a technique that's reported in ancient culture. It's actually quite possible. In fact, I've done it myself. I just wish I was in Montego Bay right now. Now I said to myself, why don't I teleport? So I change into my bathing suit. Remember, the whole body goes. The next thing I know, I'm on the beach in Montego Bay, and there's a brunette young woman, and I'm only about 10 feet from her. So I walk up to her and I said, hello, do you mind if I put my towel down? She goes, where did you come from? This place was isolated until just like a second ago. So the next thing I know, I'm back in Baltimore in my living room. My bathing suit was wet, there was sand in my sneakers, and most significantly, I had a suntan. It's very difficult to do, but people can.
So I'll just go ahead and ask, have any of you ever experienced that? That's a very common thing. We have atomic particles called neutrinos that just literally run in and out of all matter, just all day, at the speed of light, just ripping through everything. You can switch into another dimension uh, without it being intentional. There's people who have actually had this happen to such an extent to where they've written books. One I'll give you real quick as an example. So there's this couple, they're in their 70s, and they go to this little country hotel where they went for their honeymoon. So they go there and everything's fine, and they're like, can we get the room, can we get this specific room, because this is the room that we got 50 years ago when we first got married? And they're like, sure. So they go up, they get into the room, and they have a good night. But the next day they're coming down for breakfast, and as they're walking down the stairs, they're noticing everything looks different. It looks exactly like it did 50 years ago. So they go up to the counter, and the attendee that works there, they're like, hey, what's the best place to eat around here now, since it's been so long since we've been here? And they're like, who are you? And they're like, well, we're so and so, we're in room blah blah blah. We came in yesterday, we've been here all night, and we're just wanting to know a good place to get some breakfast or lunch. And they're like, we don't have you listed, nobody's supposed to be in that room. And so the the worker is confused, completely confused. They're confused. So they're like, all right, well, don't worry about it, we'll just go hop in the car and find something ourselves. So they hop in the car, and they notice that everything looks exactly like it did 50 years ago. So they're driving down this old country road, which has nothing on it, which previously had, little corner stores, gas stations, these little things. But there's nothing there, just trees, forest, beautiful nature. But there's nothing that they recognized from driving in from the night before. It's everything that they remember from 50 years ago. Excuse me. So they decide to keep driving and see how far. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. They keep driving to see how far this goes on. And what ended up happening was they turned around and started to come back. And as they came back, at some point, they shifted back into the dimension that they're from. And all of a sudden, just within a nanosecond, they're seeing everything that they recognized from the day before. And it's said, and this is not, anything fake. This is scientifically proven that not only us or our spirit, but atomic particles and matter, electrons, are shifting in and out of dimensions millions of times a day. Millions of times. But it happens so fast that we don't notice it. That's a theory that I've read from this quantum physicist. And so we're shifting in and out all the time. But it's so slight and it's so fast that we don't notice it. But if you were to sit there and just try to pay attention, I wonder what that would be like, to actually, like, I've never had that experience. Have you? Have any of you? I would love to hear your story if you had. I've never had that experience before, not while being awake. So, but I just thought their story was particularly captivating because they shifted into an old dimension, and I can see how that would happen. You know, they're going to this place that they first went 50 years ago for their honeymoon. All of their thoughts, their energy, and everything is on back then. And so, two of them together, just the two of them, switched for a while to a completely other dimension where it was 50 years ago, you know, and they had never been there yet. So it was even before their honeymoon. So I found that to be very interesting. But let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced anything like that.
Out-of-body experiences, as mystical as they might seem, have scientific evidence to suggest that they might be very real.
Once I'm out of my body, there's no such thing as time or space. So we can jump through timelines, we can jump through dimensions.
People who astral project also report increased psychic abilities, the ability to time travel and visit other dimensions.
You can easily initiate an out-of-body experience.
Astral travel is deemed safe by experts.
One common fear that people have with astral travel is related to the myth of the silver cord. And the fear is that if the silver cord was ever severed, we could lose our way. The fear has been used to scare people from ever trying the art of astral travel.
I just want to go ahead and comment on that. Yeah, they have created this disinformation agenda to make you think that if your silver cord, and those of you that don't know what the silver cord is, I'll try to explain it as basically as possible. So in our physical body right now, this vessel that we are all in, that is our human bodies, you know, our spirit, our soul is within this, but our spirit and soul are all connected by a silver cord to our higher self. So your higher selves are much closer to the creator, God, source, whatever you want to call it. And but your higher self is, you know, always looking down on you. And yeah, there might be other things involved in your life, like angelic beings or these other things, but it's said that if you astral travel, which I do a lot, if that silver cord were to get snipped, then you would unalive on the physical plane in 3D where we're at. That's not true. That's not true at all. But it was put out there to make you scared. Now, I will say this. Be very cautious if you astral project. You know, start slowly. This is something that you do not want to just jump both feet into, because it's very unnerving and can be terrifying depending on, you know, your mental state, your belief system, whatever that is, because what you're going to experience is nothing that you've ever experienced. And so there's nothing within the catalog of your life experience that can explain this. So if you're practicing it, I would say start at small steps, very small steps. Like I said, you know, I started at age 6, but I was born remembering everything. But even the first time that my first time truly astral traveling was when I dream walked, and I had a guide. So, you know, that's how I did it.
Pineal gland has been known to be called the third eye.
Scientists made the exciting discovery that calcite microcrystals exist on the pineal gland. and that these crystals can interact with electromagnetic fields.
Take one slow, steady breath. As you follow your breath and you bring that breath all the way up to that pineal gland, and you hold your breath and you keep your attention on that pineal gland, the act of contracting those muscles would begin to push cerebral spinal fluid right up into your brain. You're pushing that cerebral spinal fluid right up against the crystals of the pineal gland, and then the mechanical stress begins to electrically activate those crystals, and we are turning on the radio receiver in the brain.
In the fifth dimension, you can teleport, you can fly, you can heal things. Your thought creates the reality. But there are limitations. You just can't destroy the whole dimension. There are astral police, by the way. The way you meet a time traveler is in the fifth dimension. Well, they're real. We know they exist. Every time you can think of a potential future, you're actually creating a parallel universe. Your astral body, your spiritual body, it looks like a ghost. Let's say you're having a problem with someone. Go to the astral plane. You create what's called a sanctuary, like a conference room in the fifth dimension. You now summon the soul of the person you're having problems with. They have to show up. You can now work out your differences. You can do a negotiation with them. They won't, on the earth plane, won't know what's going on because they're asleep now.
I know what he's saying sounds very outlandish. Trust me, I know exactly how it sounds, but he's telling the truth. I wouldn't say that if I hadn't personally done it or believed it. And please pardon me. I just made dinner for my family, ate dinner, and I'm stuffed and had to come back to this. But yeah, everything he's saying is real, but you have to be careful.
You're actually out of the body when you're dreaming at night, out of the body into the fifth dimension. The question is, where do you go? The fifth dimension applies everything beyond the earth plane. The astral plane is just one example. And each dimension has a sound and certain characteristics that are relevant to it. For example, if you're out of the body and you hear the roar of the sea, you're on the astral plane. If you hear the tinkling of bells like a New Age bookstore, now you're on the causal plane where the Akashic Records are stored. If you hear the sound of running water, you're on the mental plane. And if you hear the buzzing of bees, you're on the etheric plane. Let's say you have a problem with somebody on the earth plane. You can summon their soul to the astral plane and you can work out the differences with them. And then when they wake up the following morning, they don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden they have a different attitude towards you. You're actually out.
Yeah, I've seen that in person. I've seen many people do it. I've seen, I'd be in a gas station and then walking out, and some random woman I've never met in my life will just put her hands either on my shoulder or on the bottom middle part of my back, and she'll say something to me so fast and so specific and then just walk off. In the meantime, I'm like, wait, what? Hey, no, come back here, let's talk. What did you just say? And they have no memory of ever even saying anything to me. So that right there just shows you the power of all of this. And we are so powerful. That's the thing. We are amazingly powerful beings. If we weren't, all of these agendas and these plans would have never come to place, right? So, we can do all kinds of stuff, but before we were ever even a thought, rules were in place to protect them, not us. So just don't ever stop believing, because it's a very important trait to have when you're dealing with this kind of thing and trying to sift through all of the layers of BS and get to a nugget of truth. It's a very tedious and time-consuming endeavor, trust me.
So today I took one of my kids to the doctor's office to his pediatrician visit. And he looks at my son and he goes, "So you've been healthy, right?" And he said, "Yeah." And the pediatrician looks at me and he goes, "We've had a huge rash of like RSV, flu, and all these respiratory things going on." I said, "Well, that's great. If you'd have known me as a mom in my prior life with our prior pediatrician, you would have known that we had sickness all the dang time." And he was like, "Well, what changed?" And I said, "Well, we started taking elderberry syrup." And he's like, "Really?" I said, "Yep." He said, "I've been hearing a lot about that from a lot of different people." And so I told him our story about how we were sick all the time and we went from that to not being sick at all. And he goes, that's why I don't see you here except for wellness visits. Y'all, I have 6 boys under the age of 13. It's not like we don't have germs in our house. So I said, yeah, when we get sick, it's not as bad. It doesn't take as long, and it doesn't go to everybody. And we don't end up having to come here all the time. And that's when he said, what's your website? I'm going to order some. So I thought that was great. Anyway, love you guys.
Then the ice starts to go from smooth to starting to break up here.
Like, where aren't we right now? What planet is this? Just take a folk picture. I like how that Earth is meeting the glacier. See that interesting shape?
Oh wow, yeah. Just mesmerized. I've never seen terrain like this.
It's so insane, isn't it? How, because this is right at the edge of it. It's pools of water.
Full ice. Like cold. I don't even know what
Not like nothing you've ever seen, huh?
Nothing like nothing.
It blows away anything we've seen so far.
Oh man, the ice below us is that's like the Grand Canyon of ice.
Yep.
Just like blown away looking up at the walls and the peaks next to us.
Oh, my Lanta. It's your old girl Lindsay back again. Listen to me. If you have plans, if you are watching this and you have plans to, and I'm going to watch my words, show up somewhere to prove a point, please hear me. To show your support for, against a certain thing that's happening. Please hear me. It is a smoke and mirrors situation. It appears real. It appears to be a certain thing. And it is to pull all those who would resist in a certain situation. It is to pull the mighty men. It is to pull the alphas. It is to pull those with pride. It is to pull all of those into one place. Please hear me. I'm about to throw up. Please hear me. When God reveals something, you better listen. And I'm listening. It's to pull all of them away from where they need to be. Are you following me? Don't go down there. Don't go down there. That's not where you need to be. You need to be on the home front. Okay? If you know somebody that is their plan, cry tears, snot, whatever you got to do. But tell them, don't go. Don't go. It's smoke and mirrors. It's an illusion to get you somewhere away from where you need to be. Don't put a label on yourself. I love you. And so does God.
So I pretty much agree with everything that she's saying here, and I understand the caution she's trying to use so that her videos don't get, shadow banned or pushed back to the back of the algorithm where it recognizes nothing that she's done. I kind of wish she would be a bit more specific, because what she's saying is extremely vague, and you can apply that to damn near everything that's been going on the past 7 or 8 years.
You need to look at the Vatican. Once you begin to look at the Vatican, now it's going to get serious. Because you need to remember that the Pope has dominated Europe for some 1,600 years. And Europe has dominated the world for 1,600 years. And our American system is a Vatican system. We live under the Vatican in this country. The Vatican system, of course, is based on the ancient Roman system. And in Rome, the seat of power for Caesar was called Capitol Hill. And so every morning, Caesar would go up on the hill, Capitol Hill. capital is a Latin word for money. You either have the capital or you don't. And consequently, in the Capitol Hill, Caesar would meet with the Senate. That's what we have, the Senate. The symbols of the ancient Roman Senate were two fasces, the crossing of the fasces. That's the symbol of the United States Senate, crossing of the fasces. When you see the President of the United States standing and speaking to an audience in the room where the podium and then the Speaker of the House and the Vice President sit behind him, when you see someone making a speech in that room, look on both sides of the podium. Don't look at the person talking. Look at the symbols. For many will look with their eyes but not see, and will listen with their ears but not hear, and with the heart not get the sense of it. You need to open your eyes and look at the symbols on both sides of the podium, which is about an 8 or 9 foot high fascia, called a fascia, a bundle of sticks with a hatchet head, the symbol of royal power in Rome. Our system is under Rome. Doesn't matter what you think of the Roman Catholic Church. It doesn't matter what you think of the religion of the Roman Catholic Church. All you need to know is your country is dominated by the Pope, period.
The truth is hidden in plain sight, and this is how they hide everything. If you are looking for the knowledge that has been hidden from us, if you want to know the meaning behind these symbols, if you want to know who controls the world, this ebook will literally unveil that to you, and ye shall know the truth, and truth shall set you free.
So Amazon is putting out a new cartoon about how Satan was secretly the good guy.
Once upon a time, there was a glowing city protected by golden gates, known as heaven. It was ruled by beings of pure light, angels that worshipped good and shielded all from evil. Lucifer was one of these angels. He was a dreamer with fantastical ideas for all of creation. But he was seen as a troublemaker by the elders of heaven, for they felt his way of thinking was dangerous to the order of their world. So he watched as the angels began to expand the universe in their ways. From the dust of earth they created Adam and Lilith, equals as the first of mankind. But despite this, Adam demanded control, and Lilith refused to submit to his will. She fled the garden. Drawn in by her fierce independence, Lucifer found her, and the two rebellious dreamers fell deeply in love. Together, they wished to share the magic of free will with humanity, offering the fruit of knowledge to Adam's new bride, Eve, who gladly accepted. But this gift came with a curse. For with this single act of disobedience, evil finally found its way into earth. With it, a new realm of darkness and sin, and the order heaven had worked to maintain was shattered. As punishment for their reckless act, heaven cast Lucifer and his love into the dark pit he had created, never allowing him to see the good that came from humanity, only the cruel.
So Satan.
Let me preface this by saying I actually love whoever owns this channel. And the funny thing is, a lot of their experiences and the things that they're saying are things that I've personally experienced myself, and I experience them all the time. But other people can do a lot of other stuff, so let's check it out. So one of the reasons that I really love their videos is because, like myself, I would never put out a video like this without blurring my face, using a false name and all of that. Because the government are looking for people like us. You know, just like they, found the Ingo Swann and helped develop that remote viewing program that they brought hundreds of people into to try to see, you know, if they actually taught them what Ingo knows, could they do it? And they had a big reaction on a lot of that stuff. And so if you look up Ingo Swann and you go, you know, you go talk about it and read about what he's done, he was like the pioneer of remote viewing. People have different gifts, man. And that's the beautiful thing. You decalcify that pineal gland and you start to realize that, you know, everything you're taught is a lie. You really don't know anything. And so then you understand that everything has consciousness. Everything has consciousness. It's animate or an inanimate object. But it still has a biosphere. It still has a biome. And if you look at atomic particles, you'll see the Merkaba, you know, electrons circling around pretty much, what is it, like 90% empty space. But that space is not actually empty. So we never truly touch anything. Never truly touch anything. So the sensations that we feel when we touch something, because it's not possible for us to touch anything. So when you start thinking like that and you understand that we can't touch anything, so even when you think you're touching something, you're not, but you're just making these atoms move in a way to where you sense what you feel. But it's not real. It couldn't be. Couldn't possibly be. Because you have all of these particles moving, you know, faster than light. And and whatever you're touching has the same thing. So that's the sensation you're getting. But as far as your actual person touching something else, it never happens. Does not. So you never touched anything, nothing touched you. That's the whole point. And, you know, you can look this up, study it. Nothing has ever touched anything. That's the whole point. So what we feel with our dumb senses, like I say in every video, with our dumb senses, our dumb ears, our dumb nose, mouth, everything, eyes, we don't actually feel anything, but we have the sensation of feeling. We have the sensation of touch. Like if I could actually touch finger to finger here, and this isn't like me talking, this is science. If I could touch these two fingers, if I could actually touch them together, no matter how hard I push, these particles are moving so fast. Just like magnets, you know, turn the polarity on opposition and try to keep them together. And you're going to feel what they feel. But it's not actually touching. Even when you push hard enough, if you're strong enough, I have tons of neodymium magnets. When you push them together and they're trying to repulse one another, and you're stronger and you make them touch, they're still not touching. And if you flip it the other way to where they snap together, they're still not touching. But it's so minuscule, the gap between them, that it looks like it. So, you don't have to believe me. Study physics, study quantum physics, study any of it, and you'll realize this is true. I just wanted to throw that out there. That's all. See, personally, I find that extremely beautiful. Like, yeah, they're born with these skills. Like, we were all born with certain skills, you know, and not everybody's skills are going to be the same, and you're not going to be able to do everything. But everybody has skills that they were born with. I keyed into mine at an early age, but I didn't really know how to do certain things until I was in my teens. But I would notice, even now, like when I go to sleep, one thing that wakes me up is, you know, I have a, I don't know, it's a tall, I think, Lasco fan in my room. Excuse me. And I have LED lights, I have, you know, cell phones on the nightstands, watch, my AirPods, you know, and at night, whenever I'm really concentrating before I go to sleep, I can feel the vibrations of everything, and it aggravates me. I can't go to sleep, and so I'll have to turn things off. That's what we all should do. Everybody can do many things. This isn't like a special person. I don't want you to see this and think that, oh, I can't do that. That takes so much practice. So much practice. Some of you might have an idea, but the practice that it takes is individual and different for every person. So you have to understand that, yeah, I would blur my face too, because I don't want alphabet soup people kicking down my door at 3 and 3:30 and 4 in the morning, which is when they like to come when they think you're asleep, and taking me somewhere and then assigning me to a handler and running tests on me. It's interesting, right? That you've got ants going to this, because of this specific frequency he's playing, that they're going into this, you know, some people call it a death spiral, but because of the frequency that they hear. Now remember, there's videos of fish doing this, land mammals doing this, goats, horses, they just start circling because of what's in the air. Mind you, these are the same animals that can pre-warn you for major events, because you know they're not only a part of nature, but they're one with nature. So, you know, if you're standing in the forest and you just see every living thing around you just take off the other direction, there's a good reason for it, and you should follow, you know. But you're seeing them, they can't control this. This is a frequency that's got them just doing this weird thing, you know. Very interesting.
You don't find this suspicious? That nearly a third of the country was covered in fog on one night, and that this hasn't happened for the past 2 decades? I find that suspicious. I find over 100 million people being in a fog advisory all on the same night on opposite sides of the country. I find that suspicious. So I went to the CIA.gov/reading room, like I do, and here, let me show you what I found. Good old CIA always confirms my suspicions for me. Look at number 2, fog dispersal. Pause to read, but extensive fog dispersal research and development projects are now justified. There is an especially good chance of success with fog dispersal. You can see this document is from 1967. The very top paragraph, it talks about the types of fogs they are going to use. There are 4 density levels they plan to use in their testing. Normal fog, 10%, 20%, and 40%. I'd say that's about 40%, wouldn't you? And if they were playing around with weather modifications back in the 1960s, do you not think they figured it out by now? This is suspicious as shit.
Yesterday, the Pentagon announced that 3 U.S. troops had been killed and dozens injured after a drone loaded with explosives struck them at a base in Jordan near the Syrian border. Now, none of that can be confirmed. The details, anyway, the location of the attack, and there's some question about whether that's true, but there is no question that American troops were killed yesterday, and the reaction to that, mixed with sadness, was highly political, in fact, even strategic. Within moments of this news breaking, Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator from South Carolina, called for blood. Quote, "Hit Iran now. Hit them hard," he tweeted. Nikki Haley, of course, piled on. Here's what she posted to X. Quote, "As a military spouse, my heart breaks for the families who lost loved ones. This shows the barbaric nature of our enemies in Iran, and it shows that they would not be attacking our troops if Joe Biden weren't so weak in his treatment of Iran. We should retaliate with full force, the full force of American strength. It's the only way to prevent further war. If we do not, these attacks will continue." Interesting. All of this came immediately. They were joined by Wes Clark, the former presidential candidate and commander of NATO, and buffoons like John Cornyn, who apparently is a senator from Texas, etc., all saying the same thing. Let's go to war with Iran. They all said this in both sides. Here's Nancy Pelosi on yesterday, the Pentagon on CNN telling you yesterday that anyone who is not for this, who would like, say, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, is working for Vladimir Putin.
For them to call for a ceasefire is Mr. Putin's message. Mr. Putin's message. Make no mistake, this is directly connected to what he would like to see. Same thing with Ukraine. It's about Putin's message. I think some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia. And I say that having looked at this for a long time now, as you know.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I say they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated. And I want to ask the FBI to investigate that.
I believe that a person in his or her 80s could be evil, but she is evil, and she's speaking lies. What you heard is totally dishonest. But there's a point to the dishonesty, and that is a war with Iran, which people in Washington have been agitating for more than 20 years. So are we going to war with Iran? Are we already in a war with Iran? And if so, what are the consequences? Most Americans have no idea. It's not even something they're...
I'll speak on this and then I'll end this here. I think it is amazing that Tucker Carlson, who was a journalist and host for the mass media, and as you all know, 4 people own all of the major news broadcasting companies in the country. 4 people own them. And at the top of that is 2 people that own them. And neither of them have anything to do with Republicans or Democrats. They just know that they want to include that us versus them mentality. They want to divide, and then they can conquer. And it's an old plan. It's a very good plan that always works because people are too stupid. And so they will never look past their differences to come together. They'll just be like, well, these are my views, and blah, blah, blah. And the funny thing is that the people who are Democratic today, back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, that was flipped the other way. So the people who were talking all of this, right-wing stuff back then would have been Democrats. And the opposite is also true. They always want to cause an us versus them. They want to divide us, and we let them. And that's where we make our mistakes. We have to stand together. It's just it. Nobody gives a shit what you call yourself. You shouldn't call yourself anything, because I find views from all different sides to be good and a lot of views to be bad. So you shouldn't have to take, the best of the worst candidates. But this country is a corporation, so it doesn't even matter who you vote for. It's all about the money. They have sold out as a corporation. It's in legal documents from 200 years ago. It's in all kinds of things that we know we have. So yeah, it doesn't matter who you vote for. I hate to be the person that tells you Santa isn't real, but yeah, it doesn't matter. The entire country could stay at home and never vote for anyone. Not online, not mailing in a late slip, nothing. And they would make it seem like the entire country is going for one person, or they might make it seem like a tight race when we all know that no one even voted. There was no one at the voting booths. They would still create that agenda and make that agenda viable to everyone else. That way, you'd be like, oh, those sons of bitches, we all said that we were going to sit still and not vote, but now we got, 53% of these people. I'm going up there and voting and taking everybody with me so we can, get this back on track. That's exactly what they want. That is exactly what they want. They want us to be divided, separate us, divide us so they can conquer us into little small groups and also control us. They're already trying to control the food. They already control medical systems, the water systems. The FDA allows 8% lead in your water. And I can't remember the exact number. But they allow like a pretty large number, like I think it's 20%, 25% of bug parts in your chocolate, and so much of chocolate. I don't eat that shit anyways, but yeah. So you go bite into a Snickers and you're eating a lot of bug parts, and not good bugs that were kept in a cage and fed fruits and vegetables for a month. Talking about, bugs that are like rats. They're scavengers. So, yeah. And if I gave you a glass of water, it was like, hey man, you look parched. Here's a glass of water. By the way, though, there's like 8% lead in there and 2% arsenic, but, whatever. FDA says it's good. Go ahead and drink it. Quench your thirst, my brother. What? Fucking kidding me? It's got 8% lead and a bit of arsenic. Oh, it's got way more than that. That's just what I can tell you. But, you're thirsty. Have at it. No. That's what they want. Question everything. And the problem is, they're so good at it now. And like I said, I've been a part of these programs. They're so good at it now to where they mix in so many truths and then a little bit of lies.
And at the edge of my bed, there was a being at the foot of my bed, and he
Describe.
His head was down at first, and he looked up at me, and his head was bigger on top.
Yes.
His eyes were bigger, but had pupils.
Yes.
They weren't fully black.
Yes.
The nose was small, and
Yes.
so was the mouth. It had like a slit, no lips. His skin appeared glowing green.
All right.
And it seemed like
One
he was...
moment.
Okay.
We are all laughing. All right, go ahead.
What?
Somebody was using humor and playing a little bit of a trick on you.
Okay.
But go ahead.
And he was wearing kind of like a red cape thing behind him.
One moment.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, now
we
I-
know who this is. They like to play games and present themselves in certain ways to sort of startle you, wake you up, kind of like what you call archetypally trickster energy.
he seemed really compassionate.
Oh, yes.
As well.
Oh, yes. There is nothing negative about this. Just playing with you. Giving you a presentation knowing that when you describe this being, people will laugh. They will think you're seeing things.
Well, that's why I don't say this to many.
Well, you've just said it to a lot.
But
that's all right because they know they're all crazy too.
So, can you tell me a little bit more about who this particular being was, other than the trickster kind of archetype?
It is a being, a hybrid being, using the trickster archetype to communicate to your world and set up certain foundations for future communication with the hybrid children. But it is, in a sense, well, I'm going to put it this way. You understand in what you call Native American societies that the concept of what you call the clown is a little bit different than it is in your culture. The clown is a teacher, a trickster. What in certain native tongues is called a contrary, a heyoka. The clown, as a contrary, often does things that are very strange, dresses up very strangely, does things backwards, in reverse. It shakes people out of their normal, conventional view. And that's the idea that this being is doing. It is presenting itself as a type of contrary, a type of clown, to lighten the mood, to shake things up, to give you something unexpected. There are beings that do this, that specifically do this kind of contact in this way to shake the foundations of your expectations within your consciousness, to actually open doors within your consciousness, to be capable of then receiving other things that, had the doors been closed, you would not have been able to perceive. But by giving you something so strange, so surreal, it actually allows you to open doors to receive other things you otherwise would not have been capable of perceiving. Yes, we know who that is.
He's coming to me with a clown suit on with a pig head on before.
Well, there you go, you see.
So I understand.
There is some massive news coming out of Washington, D.C. that has Republicans and former Democrat Senator Kyrsten Sinema absolutely furious. It's just been discovered that President Biden stole over $105 million from the state of Arizona as he colluded with Senate Leader Chuck Schumer and House Leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York. So here's what's going on. There was all of this money that was legally appropriated to Texas and to Arizona. Kyrsten Sinema was the Democrat that kept holding out and holding up Biden's inflation bills during COVID because she knew that they were spending way too much money and it would affect inflation. They said, "Quiet down, little girl. You don't know anything. Get in line." Well, she was so mad that she held out until she got this $100 million to secure the border in Arizona, to strengthen the border. Well, now the top person in New York for the Senate and for the House of Representatives, Schumer and Jeffries, they called Biden, and Biden basically just stole $105 million for fixing the southern border crisis and gave it to New York so that the illegal immigrants there can continue to be put up in posh hotels, given 3 meals a day, cell phones, food. Now they want them to be able to vote in the upcoming election. I wonder which way they're going to vote, right? So now you have all these conspiracy theories that they're letting 5 to 7 million people in the country every year until Biden gets out so that they will have all of these Democrat voters going forward. I don't know if that's true or not, but what we do have documented is that Biden approved the 2 top people from New York stealing over $100 million from the border crisis in order to make life more presentable and easy and posh for the illegal immigrants that have made their way to New York. Now, if you like being kept in the loop on these types of stories, please make sure to hit that subscribe button because I want to keep you in the loop. There's so much going on, but this was the big story today. Biden steals over $100 million from the Senate bill
for the state of Arizona in order to make life more comfortable for illegal aliens in the state of New York.
How does it feel that you kicked all the kids out of school tomorrow? How does it feel? Do you feel good? I hope you feel good. I hope you all sleep really well tonight.
Why are you yelling at them?
Because I have a right to. That's why. That's why. Because I'm an agitated mother. That's why. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Taking over my kid's school. Take all the kids out to sleep here tonight, huh? How long you staying?
Oh yeah, she's got that very stereotypical, almost sounds like a Long Island accent. Yeah, that's got a sting. You know, you've got people out here that are struggling, people out here that, you know, are not doing too well, and then your own president and government bring in people from another country and provide them with not only luxury hotels to live in, but spending millions of dollars a month just on Uber and Lyft, and then taking them to hospitals, getting everything fixed with them, and paying all of their bills. Why couldn't you do that for Americans? You had to bring it, you literally open the borders up and let a bunch of people in, and you're providing this kind of service for all of them, regardless of what their job is here. You're providing all of this for them. You can't do it for your own people. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Did you know your electromagnetic energy field, or your vibe, surrounds and emanates from you interacting with the world around? When you feel positive emotions and envision desired realities, you align with higher frequencies manifesting them. Lower frequencies are linked to illnesses, and the higher ones make you resistant. Your heart generates an exceptionally powerful electromagnetic field, about 5,000 times stronger than your brain's. As emotions shift, your heart field's strength and wave patterns change. Love and positive states create smooth, ordered rhythms. Negative emotions form disjointed rhythms. Modern research shows our consciousness and emotions can influence quantum physics experiments, even impacting our cells and genes. This demonstrates beliefs and mindset alone can physiologically shape reality in the body, like the placebo effect. You can intentionally raise your vibration with positivity, meditation, nature, and higher frequency fresh foods. By managing your energetic state consciously, you sustain elevated personal wireless frequencies and clear information flow. Your vibration truly sculpts your reality. If you are on a journey of raising your vibration, comment the word frequency down in the comments.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. That's life. But I hope you all understand the direction that I'm going. I have a Discord that I pay for, that I've been paying for like 5 months, that I've never given the URL to. Because after I built it, I was like, you know what, they're going to censor me. So, would you guys prefer Discord or Telegram? Telegram, I can put whatever I want out there, and so can you, and nobody's monitoring it. I think that is a value that cannot be understated. You know, even if Telegram costs me as much as, you know, the Discord channel that I built with all of the things that my Discord channel can do, I still think that Telegram is better because it's not censored. So we can say whatever we want, you know. So let me know in the comments what you would want what you truly could see yourself collaborating on without having to worry about censorship. Because our privacy is more in jeopardy now than it's ever been. And at least with Telegram, we can use encryption, we can use passwords, we can FA, we can use a lot of things to secure it. So let me know what you think. If everybody says just do it on Discord, I'll post the link to the Discord. And we'll just go by that. But this is not only for me, this is for us all as a community, because like I said, we're going through this journey together, all of us. So I want to know, so shout outs to all of you that comment. I've been enamored with the comments. It absolutely makes my soul smile when you guys are telling me that I've helped you, or I've helped you realize things, or whatever. I absolutely, my entire being just glows with joy. And that's not an exaggeration or an overstatement. That's fact. I glow. I look like a glazed donut when I read it. I'm just so happy, you know? And so I appreciate you all. You know the drill. Smash that like, smash it, smash it, smash it, smash it. Because that like runs the numbers up on the algorithm, gets this out there to more people, which is what we want. We want to spread this awareness. Also comment, because I do love interacting with you. If you notice, I talk to all of you. I look at the comments. I talk to all of you. I'm not one of these guys that says, oh, I read the comments. I don't just read them. No, I sit here and look at what you say and discuss it with you. You know, because like I said, we're going through this together. This shift, this change, this is serious. This has never been done on this planet. You know how many cycles we've had of intelligent civilizations that have just gone away for one reason or another? You know, every so many, 30 to 45,000 years, we have these civilizations, you know, and they just get wiped out. Here we are. So yeah, this is a group thing. We have to be vigilant. We have to be smart about it. And we can all do it better together than alone. So I appreciate the comments. On that note, hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you on the next one.